My best friend and I both married into the Smiths family. I married the brother who is a master in the medical field, while she married the younger brother who is a top-tier artist in the entertainment industry. On our third wedding anniversary, I fell down the stairs while pregnant, and my husband was busy helping his first love's cat give birth. I called him asking him to come back, but he said, "Can you stop pretending? Tina's cat is in danger, show some empathy, okay?" That night, the cat's kittens were saved, but my baby was not. I looked at my best friend who stayed with me all night in the hospital and said, "Joanna, I want a divorce." She held my hand and said, "I'll support you. If you leave, I'll leave too." When the two men received the divorce papers, they both went crazy with regret. After the divorce news got out, I received a questioning call from Gavin as expected. "Tina, can you stop making a fuss? Are you so narrow-minded that you need to tie me down forever?" Before I could answer, he continued with an impatient tone, "I already told you, Alice's cat was having a hard time giving birth. It's her favorite pet and there were several little lives at stake. Don't you have any sympathy?" I laughed bitterly at his cold tone. My husband Gavin finally decided to give me a call after being off the grid for a week. Even though, just last night, I fell down the stairs while pregnant, and called him 18 times in pain. He hung up on me every single time. He only bothered to reply with a text, "Busy, what's up?" I cried and sent him a voice message, trembling as I spoke, "Honey, I'm pregnant. I just fell down the stairs and now my stomach hurts a lot and I'm bleeding. What should I do? Is our baby going to be okay?" Gavin didn't listen to my voice message and replied impatiently, "Can't you handle things at home by yourself? Why do you have to call me? I'm helping deliver Alice's cat's kittens. What could be more important than those little lives?" Gavin often wouldn't listen to my voice messages and couldn't be bothered to read my texts. He had all the patience in the world to listen to his first love Alice complain and whine during her period for half an hour. But when I, who had claustrophobia since childhood, got stuck in an elevator for 2 hours, calling him was seen as a disturbance. Of course, how could I compare to Alice? Gavin once said I wasn't even worth a strand of Alice's hair. Our child, of course, was nothing compared to Alice's beloved kittens. My best friend grabbed my phone and yelled angrily at Gavin, "Tina had a miscarriage after falling last night. If you're still human, get to the hospital to see her now." Of course, Gavin wouldn't rush to the hospital to see me. He never believed I was really pregnant. He said mockingly over the phone, "Where's Tina? Let her answer the phone. Is she making a scene again and dragging you into it? Are you tricking me into going back to see her?" My best friend almost lost her breath from anger, ready to curse him out, but he hung up first. Tears were about to burst from her eyes. Joanna handed the phone back to me, still fuming. What kind of person is he? A true Smiths family member. I smiled weakly at her and shook my head, "Joanna, forget it. Since I've already decided to get a divorce, why bother letting him come to the hospital and complicate things? Maybe I once hoped he'd come to see me, but now." I took a bitter breath and said, "When you no longer have love or hope for someone, you won't be disappointed anymore." I asked my best friend to find a lawyer and draft divorce papers for both of us. Joanna and I grew up together as best friends back then. We both married into the Smiths family to become sisters-in-law, united against outsiders. Now, getting married on the same day and divorcing on the same day, isn't it fate in a way? Gavin paid no attention to the divorce papers I sent him. But Michael called my best friend first, questioning her, "Again a divorce because of those rumors? I've told you it's all in your head. Can't you have a bit of understanding? I've explained countless times, it was just PR with the other cast members. You keep misunderstanding, what more can I do? These two brothers really are alike, both skilled at hitting where it hurts." Now, Joanna doesn't even want to communicate with him. Michael impatiently threw out, "I have to shoot a scene now. Do whatever you want, file for divorce if you want. I don't care." On TV, Michael's rumors with an actress were still airing. They wore obvious couple outfits, even accessorized with matching pieces. When interviewed by the media, the actress smiled sweetly at Michael, openly admiring and praising him, Michael is very gentlemanly and takes good care of me. On Seeth's my ideal type. And Michael played the perfect gentleman, putting his arm around the actress's slender waist and saying, Amy is a very smart girl. Whoever is her boyfriend will be very happy. Rumors like these are just appetizers for the top star Michael in the entertainment industry. Ever since Joanna married him, he's been constantly spotted with actresses and models entering and leaving hotels, or dancing intimately with them in nightclubs. For every new movie he joins, there's always gossip about a romance with one of the actresses. But Joanna had no right to question any of this. If she did, he would say she was holding back his career and not understanding his work. Even though, when he was buried in scandals, Joanna would work day and night to manage his PR and fight against the negative news. Even though she used all her resources to market his movies, helping him build connections and gain support, but in Michael's mind, Joanna was just a useless woman who stayed home getting jealous. After Michael hung up on her, Joanna gripped her phone tightly. She finally took a deep breath, turned to me with red eyes, and said, Tina, let's get a divorce. I can't take it anymore. She put her hand on my shoulder and mustered up the courage to say, a divorce, so what? It's better to end it quickly than suffer long. If this keeps going, we'll both go crazy. It hurts to divorce or break up, but we've got each other. We'll get through this together, biting down and holding on. I nodded and gave her a bitter smile, saying, all right. I sent Gavin the time and place for the divorce, but hours passed without a reply. Not until night, when I was weak and groggy on my hospital bed post-miscarriage, did I receive his text, Alice's newborn kitten has a gut issue. We took it to a neighboring city for a checkup and treatment. Will be back in 3 days. I responded, all right, let's delay the divorce until 3 days from now. It works for me. When he finally saw the word divorce, he replied, still displeased, I've had enough. Tina, you weren't always this unreasonable. If I pamper you once, that's it. Stop mentioning divorce all the time. Is it fun? Gavin had long been spoiled by me. Every time I couldn't take it and wanted a divorce, I made countless decisions to leave him forever. But I couldn't let go. At the last moment in front of the civil affairs office, would always lose my dignity and beg to stay with him. I lied to myself over and over, thinking Gavin liked me, that he still had some feelings for me. As long as I stayed as the young mistress of the Smiths family, I thought, one day he would come around and see me. Little did I know, my repeated self-degradation, which I thought might earn us another chance, he saw as unreasonable antics. Even now, he's seeing this divorce as a bargaining chip and a move against him. This time, I'm too tired to explain. I coolly replied, 3 days from now, 10 a.m., at the Civil Affairs office. By the way, Joanna and Michael will be divorcing too, so don't be late. Gavin sneered, is this how you act as an elder sis-in-law? Even now, he still tries to use the family's status to oppress me. You causing your own drama is one thing, but dragging Michael into it too? Faking a pregnancy, faking a miscarriage, now dragging Joanna into a divorce. You really pulled out all the stops this time, huh? What's next? Hurting yourself to force me into admitting I'm wrong? The last time he referred to was 2 months ago when we attended a party on a luxury yacht. I didn't know then that the girl he brought was Alice, so I eagerly attended after receiving my invite. The result? Gavin stayed by his first love all evening, treating me like I was invisible and making me the laughingstock of the crowd. Feeling crappy, I avoided everyone and went to the deck to drink, only to be pushed into the water. That time, I almost drowned, but Gavin insisted I was faking the whole thing. He stood coldly by my hospital bed, looking down at me with disdain, saying, you're good at acting, always putting yourself in the victim's role to make everyone think I didn't take good care of you, leading to accidents. When I found out I was pregnant, I joyfully told him the news. He threw my test results on the ground, sneering, caught red-handed, so you used pregnancy to soften me up? Pretty clever, knowing I'd figure it out, so you stole someone else's pregnancy report. Too bad, the report is real, but it's definitely not yours. When you're done acting, return the report to its owner. A woman full of lies, what kind of child could you give birth to anyway? As he wished, the child was never born, and now we are getting divorced. I didn't scream or accuse. The pain had numbed me, I couldn't even feel it anymore. I spoke to him with calm. Gavin, this time, I'm really letting you gouache you and your first love all the best, never look back. Gavin came with Alice. As they got out of the car, Alice clung to Gavin's arm like she was declaring her territory. She was Gavin's college classmate. Back then, they were in love and almost got married. But Alice's family background was not acceptable to the Smiths family, they wouldn't let her in. Gavin broke up with Alice because of that. For the longest time, he was like a walking corpse until he met me. My best friend Joanna was marrying Michael, and she cried in my arms, saying it would be hard for her to have fun with me from then on, even wishing we could get married into the same family. Back then, I fell for Gavin at first sight. I boldly declared, easy peasy. Watch me win over Gavin, and we'll both end up in my family. Even I was surprised that Gavin agreed to marry me. Later, I found out it wasn't because he changed his mind, it was because he thought, if he can't marry his first love, then nothing else matters. When he saw me, Gavin's gaze lingered on me for a bit. Then he squinted his eyes and spat out, aren't we getting divorced? Let's go inside. However, when I resolutely turned and walked toward the civil affairs office, he grabbed my arm. He bowed his head, closed his eyes in pain, and said, Tina, I know you're acting out of spite. I'm giving you one last chance. If you apologize to me and to Alice now, I can pretend this never happened. I chuckled coldly and retorted, Gavin, what is this about? Pulling my hand away forcefully, I asked, we already agreed to divorce, and you agreed too. Are you regretting it now? Did you think I was joking around, like kids playing house? Stop dragging your feet. Let's go sign the papers now. When Gavin and I signed the divorce papers, he still looked bewildered. His probing gaze stayed on me, as if expecting me to suddenly change my mind and reconcile with him, but I didn't look at him once. Until we walked out of the civil affairs office, my body almost gave out and I nearly fell. Maybe it was a reflex, but Gavin actually reached out to steady me. His eyes roved over my face for a moment, and he scoffed sarcastically, thinking of acting now? Isn't it a bit late? My best friend couldn't stand it anymore. She pushed Gavin away and took his place supporting me. Gavin, are you blind? Can't you see Tina's face is off? Shame on you for being a medical expert. You can't even see a woman's weakness after a miscarriage. What kind of doctor are you? Gavin's brows furrowed immediately. Finally, he focused his gaze on my face. Still in disbelief, he tentatively asked, what she said, it's not true, right? I snorted, lifted my head to look at him, and asked, Mr. Gavin, do you hope it's true or false? I glanced at Alice standing by the roadside and laughed instantly. Sure, with a new kid on the way, obviously he wouldn't want to accept this child, so let's call it fake. You've never had a child. My child never had a father, if that makes you feel better. Gavin's pupils trembled violently. Realizing something, he angrily shouted at me, Tina. I'm not joking with you. Tell me, is that child real? I asked in confusion, why are you so nervous now? A child whose life isn't even worth a cat's, can you expect any paternal love from you for him? Facing Gavin's stunned expression, I chuckled softly and said, if you had come back promptly, perhaps our child might have been saved. But now, you won't even have time to mourn him. Hearing my words, Gavin took a long time to react. As a medical expert, the first thing he did was to open the prenatal checkup reports I had sent him. Those reports he had always thought I faked, he finally took a good look at them now. Finally, he opened the emergency voice message I sent the night I fell down the stairs. Instantly, his face turned very grim. Seeing things were off, Alice flounced over to pull him, Gavin, it's come to this, you. In the next moment, Gavin harshly pushed her away, even Alice was dumbstruck. Seemingly in a rush to verify something, he drove off to the hospital. As for me, I contemptuously turned to Alice and softly said, sorry, Miss Alice. You schemed to watch a good show but got left here. Gavin probably won't come back anytime soon. You better get a taxi home. Alice's face was filled with venom. She sneered again. You think Gavin cares about you? It's actually about that kid. Even a tiger doesn't harm its cubs. Any man would have some feelings for his own child. If you could have kept the child, maybe you could have contended with me. Too bad though. She walked towards me in high heels, red lips smiling, a mother who throws her own child into the trash. I don't believe Gavin would ever fancy such a heartless woman. You'll never have a chance. Alice was wrong. I'd never bear to leave my precious baby in the hospital trash. The reason I told Gavin that was to make him give up. I never wanted a chance to win him back. I buried our baby in a place with flowers and water. After all, he never got to see this world. Letting him rest in a beautiful place seems fitting. Before going home, my best friend accompanied me to visit the grave. We placed fresh flowers at our baby's grave when she received a call from Michael. Aren't we getting divorced? Come now, I have a shoot later. You've only got 15 minutes. The entire time they were finalizing their divorce papers, Michael didn't look Joanna in the eye. He was so afraid of being recognized, wearing a mask and large sunglasses. As soon as he came out of the civil affairs office, he jumped into the car. Joanna stood by the roadside, staring blankly at his departing figure. I walked over and patted her on the shoulder. Joanna, it's okay. This will pass. Joanna looked at me, then smiled relieved. Yes, it will pass. You know, we have such a bond. We once said, we don't ask for the same day to be born or die, but we did get married and now divorced on the same day. True soul sisters. After all, our marriages were arranged. We didn't even inform our families before divorcing. Our families were furious, but we couldn't be bothered to listen to their nagging, so we stayed out, not returning home. Joanna and I had already picked out a place. We rented a villa in the suburbs to stay temporarily while figuring out our next steps. That night, as we feasted and sang along to movies in the villa, Joanna got a text from Michael. Hope you adjust your mindset soon and strive to be a qualified wife. Joanna cursed at him in response. Are you nuts? We're divorced. Michael, unimpressed, replied, how many times has this happened? Do you think I believe it? I agreed to the divorce just to let you cool off and reflect on your behavior. Be more considerate of me and my career. I've already told your parents. We're only temporarily divorced, in a relationship adjustment period. Once you've thought it through, we'll remarry. Michael was confident he had the upper hand over Joanna. After all, he's a top-tier celebrity. No matter the event, he's the dream of countless girls. When our families decided to marry us, he always acted like I was lucky to have him. And Joanna? At first, she was head over heels for her superstar husband, thinking she had hit the jackpot. But gradually, through their mutual torment, the love faded away. She didn't explain anything to Michael, just blocked his contact. That move was a direct challenge to Michael's authority and allure, making the top-tier celebrity furious. Minutes after she blocked him, Joanna got a call from Michael's agent. Did you say something to Michael again? He's pretty pissed. Look, no, he really likes you, but in our line of work, you know it's for your protection he doesn't announce your relationship. You should understand him. Joanna laughed coldly, and him entering hotels with other female stars, stirring up scandals, that's also to protect me? The agent was left speechless. Joanna continued, tell him this divorce is for real. It's not a game. He doesn't need to contact me about anything ever again. I don't care about my ex-husband's life or death. After hanging up, she blocked all of Michael's staff. That day, Michael updated his social media with a single word, shit. The picture was a wedding ring from a beach trip with Joanna. The cryptic post instantly sparked a frenzy of media and fan speculation. Is he getting married? Whose ring is that? Shut up. Michael getting married? That's totally an artistic shot. Only Joanna and I knew his intention, waiting for her to regret and beg him to reconcile. But this time, no one would put up with his antics. I ran into Gavin at the hospital during a follow-up appointment. He looked extremely haggard, quite the contrast to his usual charming self, with stubble and dark circles under his eyes. Divorce seemed to have taken a toll on his sleep. Seeing me, he froze as if he saw some joy and hope. Grabbing my wrist, he asked, "Tina, did you see the messages I sent you?" Gavin had sent numerous messages lately, but I ignored them all. Just like he used to dismiss me, I now couldn't be bothered. Coldly, I asked, "Do you need something?" His demeanor was humble. "I didn't know you were pregnant." "I failed that child, and I failed you." Desperately, he clutched my fingers. "Tina, I know you're upset about the baby. That's on me. I apologize and hope to make it right. Can you forgive me? We're still young, we could have another baby someday." I scoffed, pulling my hand away. "Mr. Gavin, is this harassment? We're divorced. Talking about kids now isn't appropriate. Who would want to have a child with you?" Gavin showed a pained expression but relented. "Okay, let's not talk about that. A colleague told me your miscarriage was hard on you. How are you now? Let me take a look." He reached for my medical records, but I moved them away. "No need, I've got an appointment with my doctor." "It's inappropriate for you to overstep," I said icily. From a distance, Alice walked out of a room, clutching her stomach. "Gavin, my stomach suddenly hurts. Can you look at me, please?" Alice always had a knack for creating emergencies whenever Gavin and I had moments together. When I was hospitalized for appendicitis, Gavin visited me briefly before Alice feigned fainting from low blood sugar, needing Gavin's care. She would post pictures of Gavin cooking for her while I writhed in pain. I was kidnapped abroad, and just as Gavin was about to negotiate with the abductors, Alice discovered suspicious notes at her door, making her call Gavin over. I nearly died, and she was flaunting photos of them being cozy. I used to be hurt by her provocations. Now, I found them amusing, like gossip. I taunted Gavin, "Your sweetheart is calling, go take care of her. She's too delicate for any trouble." As I turned to leave for my doctor's appointment, Gavin grabbed me from behind. "When are you done?" "I'll wait downstairs, we need to talk." Later, he cornered me in the parking lot. "I married you because I loved you," he claimed passionately. He admitted he once considered marrying Alice because she seemed fragile and in need of protection, but now he supposedly realized I was the one he truly cared for. But ever since he met me, he suddenly realized that pity and love are not the same thing at all. Because he felt guilty about Alice, he couldn't face me. To make up for the guilt in his heart, he could only be even nicer to that woman. I raised an eyebrow and retorted immediately, "You tell me all this, what do you want me to say? That you love me so much and that you suppress your feelings for me because of another woman, and you're having a hard time?" Then I let out a slight snicker and declared, "You know to turn the wheel to avoid hitting the tree, and you know to take care of her after the kid dies. Who are you pretending to be so emotional for now? Where were you earlier?" When I got back home, I found out that Joanna and Michael had hit the top of trending searches. The reason was that Joanna and Michael were spotted at the Civil Affairs Bureau getting a divorce on the same day, recognized by someone there. Soon, gossip posts flooded the internet. Oh my God. Michael was already married. I thought they were getting their marriage license, but it turned out they were getting a divorce. And the woman seems like the rich girl who had rumors with him before. Joanna had indeed been rumored to be involved with Michael before. After all, they were real spouses. Even if they were cautious, the media still caught clues. But Michael never admitted publicly that he was married. He even said that Joanna was just a fan of his. Of course, fans didn't buy this gossip and went out of their way to refute it, claiming, "No way. Michael has always been single. Anyone making up rumors will get sued. Michael has been single for over 20 years. Did you take out a loan to get him a wife? And now you dream about divorcing them?" This was not the first time fans attacked Joanna. In the past, out of respect for Michael's reputation and to avoid affecting his career, Joanna never responded to the insults. And what about Michael? He always watched the situation coldly, letting the rumors fly, but this time, things were completely different. Michael directly announced publicly that he had been married and acknowledged Joanna's status, expressing his gratitude for everyone's attention. He said, "I must tell you all, I am indeed married. My wife is just an ordinary person. I hope you do not disturb her excessively. Since the divorce, Michael had been waiting for Joanna to regret it and apologize. But soon he realized he was blocked by Joanna, and even after waiting for a long time, she didn't unblock him. This made Michael panic. He then publicly announced Joanna's identity to the fans and the public. But there's a saying, right? Late affection is less than nothing. Joanna no longer needed this identity by now. Joanna also responded online, "Thank you all for your attention. I was indeed married to Michael, but we are now divorced. I am just an ordinary person and do not wish to be exposed to the public. Please allow us to part ways amicably." Seeing the phrase "part ways amicably," Michael broke down that night. He showed up at our house, dressed up like a peacock with a bouquet of roses. A lot of media paparazzi were live streaming it, exclaiming, "My God, since when has Michael pursued a woman like this? It seems this Joanna is not simple." Michael's company's PR team spread rumors, indicating Michael and Joanna were just having a temporary tiff and didn't genuinely intend to divorce. They also said Michael was currently trying to win back his upset wife. This led the media to gossip and speculate whether Joanna would forgive Michael. In front of everyone, Joanna poured a whole bucket of water from head to toe on Michael. And Michael didn't get mad. He stood at the door and shouted to Joanna, "Joanna, I know I was wrong. I didn't consider your feelings or give you enough security. Now I admit your identity to the public. Everyone knows you are my wife, and I will cherish and protect you now. I will not annoy or worry you again. I know you're mad. Forgive me, okay?" Joanna couldn't stand it any longer and came out, smirking coldly at Michael. "Michael, do you think saying sorry will always make everything okay with me?" Seeing Michael's stunned expression, Joanna laid it all out. "A man who loves me enough would be proud of my presence, give me enough security. He wouldn't think my presence is a burden, nor my jealousy unreasonable. Michael, maybe you've changed, but..." She paused and said, "I've had enough of the days with you. I've decided to move forward on my own." The footage of them at the door quickly made headlines, causing a media storm. Michael, this top star in the entertainment world, faced a huge backlash and criticism. A lot of effort was needed to calm down the scandal. They reached out to us, secretly promising a lot of good conditions, hoping we could part ways peacefully. Joanna and I agreed, but for Gavin and Michael, it wasn't over. Michael kept coming to find Joanna every few days, with roses and various pretty jewelry, begging for forgiveness. Gavin sent me countless messages and wrote numerous essays. The once aloof and rational Gavin now lost his rationality. I rarely replied to his messages. Occasionally, I looked at them and felt overwhelmed by the dense text. I had to remind him, "Mr. Gavin, since we're already divorced, accept the reality as soon as possible. Stop writing those essays. I won't read them, and it's just wasting your time." The next time I saw Gavin was at the police station. The reason? Joanna had recently started dating a university student. But her relentless top star ex-husband couldn't handle it and blocked Joanna and her new boyfriend, causing a conflict. When I got to the police station, Michael was still angrily grabbing Joanna's arm. "I don't believe you've forgotten about me and went to find someone new. You're just trying to make me jealous and get back together, right?" Gavin came over too, pulling his disruptive brother away. Seeing this, I stepped in and said calmly, "Michael, you think you're irresistible, that Joanna has to like you? It's because you didn't cherish her time and again that she left. You should reflect on yourself more. Joanna is really happy now that she's divorced. Please stop disturbing her life." Michael had been drinking, his face was flushed. I wasn't sure if he'd understand what I said. So, I turned to Gavin and kept going. "Some guys are ridiculously confident. They think that just because they regret it and want to make amends, a simple wave of their hand will fix everything. They even think Joanna found someone new just to make them jealous so they'd get back together. Seriously, even if you got down on your knees and begged Joanna to come back, do you think you deserve it?" Gavin flinched, as if he'd been slapped himself. He lowered his head, supporting his brother, and muttered, "Sorry." The funny part was, as Michael was being taken away, He was still shouting my friend's name in frustration. After the divorce, Joanna and I opened a dessert shop together. That was an idea we had before we got married. It was one of our shared interests and dreams. But after getting married, they didn't agree with us being so public, insisting we play the role of dutiful wives. Now that we're divorced, we're free. Who can control us? As Joanna made her beloved desserts, she smiled confidently and said, "Now I realize, I shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. Even without a man, I can live happily and freely. Why add frustration to my life? Look, if we hadn't gotten married, we'd be living this carefree life ages ago." I totally agreed. Over the past years, I turned into someone unrecognizable trying to please Gavin. If I hadn't met him or married him, I would have been living a carefree life with my best friend ages ago. But it's not too late to wake up now. The tough days are over, let's leave them in the past.